we have the Fold 1 and the XP 3.0 step-through black. This is the stone gray model of the Velotric Fold 1, and we think both these bikes look stellar, especially when brand new. They glisten with that just out of the box feel, and we really like it. As you all know, I have been a fan of Lectric for a very long time, and Velotric sent me the Fold 1 to have a go at it, check it out. So what I thought I would do is put them on the rack and share with you some of the things that I notice when I look at these bikes and talk through some of the finer aspects, those that Velotric wants you to know, and as they relate to the Lectric 3.0. This is the crown jewel. This is the one that has dominated the market for so long, and Velotric has come up with their answers. So we are going to have a look at it and check out some of the finer aspects with the bikes on the rack. A little bit different than your typical review. So very first thing we're going to do is change a couple of the settings. On the Fold, we are going to increase the speed limit. There's minimal information in the owner's manual about how to do this. And then on the XP 3.0, we're going to do that. Once we get both of these into the class 3 settings so they can throttle up to 20 miles an hour, and then PAS will take you to 28. We will then have a look, get one on the rack individually, and then take you through some of the components so you can see them side by side. If you haven't already, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. It is our primary. And if you're in the area, check out e-bikes of Tampa Bay, Florida. Get in that Facebook group, make an event. You've got to make the event and then go for a ride with your e-bike friends. Check out the St. Pete Float Fleet. We post their rides. Let's Glow Riding. They ride on Saturdays in the area. And then Tampa Float Crew, I believe they are Tuesday night rides. So everybody's worth checking out. And if you've got a ride, go ahead and post it in the e-bikes of Tampa Bay group. Here we go. Now I have my specs written on the iPad just because there were some things that I wanted to talk about before I tore into these things. And the very first thing that you need to know is about the warranty. And this is the most important part, because if you have failure of components in your e-bikes, then you're definitely going to have to reach out for warranty replacement. Now, this can be anything from motor to your throttle, your display, your controller, and sometimes even the cable harnesses. All that being said, both of these bikes are marked on sale, and what a lot of you know is that Lectric marks the XP on sale pretty much constantly, but they rotate the items that come with it, so the value can vary greatly. And one of the better ends is when they offer the second battery promotion with their e-bikes. I think that happens twice a year. Don't quote me on that. I've seen it in a regular state. So if you get an XP 3.0, oftentimes if they're doing the promotion, you will get the equal size battery. If you order the long range, you'll get the 14 amp hour. And if you order the standard 10 amp hour battery, you'll get another 10 amp hour battery. Haven't seen that from Velotric, but they have not been on the market. This is the Fold 1. This is the third version of the XP 3.0. So there's still a lot to flush out as these bikes move into the market space as competitors. So keep that in mind. XP 3.0, $999 with the standard 10 amp hour battery. You can get the 14 amp hour battery, which is 1 amp hour more than the Fold 1 battery, and that is the same price. So $11.99 for the long range version, 14 amp hour battery, and then the standard Fold 1 is $11.99. So XP 3.0, $11.99 with the long range package, and then the Fold 1 is $11.99 standard, but their battery is already 13 amp hours. Things to say about the company. Lectric. They have a 1-year warranty on their bikes, but here's what you need to know. Lectric is well known for their customer service, and oftentimes if you're in a state where you need something, they're just going to take care of it. That's the kind of service they offer, and I was able to see that when I visited their headquarters. Just you could tell with the demeanor of the employees, the enthusiasm, the way everybody approached everything, is quite obvious that it's a customer-first, employee-centric company, which is going to make it possible for them to move forward with that philosophy. Now, with the Velotric Fold 1, you have a 2-year warranty, which is double what you get from Lectric, and we anticipate the same standard of customer service. And one thing you will want to know is that Velotric has got a very, very hard push for boots on the ground. They have a lot of reps in brick and mortar stores. They are promoting the Velotric product, and then they are providing a quality service for the bike shop owners. So the bike shop owners are more than willing to participate in this. Now, what does that mean? Just because Lectric is an internet-based company and they provide most of their sales via the internet, you can get them in shops. One of the difficulties for the shops is the commission rate, or the percent change over MSRP. So for them and for Lectric, it is better for Lectric to actually, if you purchase from the website. Now, Velotric is offering those prices at their brick and mortar stores with the option and creating the margin for the shop owners. And this has incentivized them to bring the brand to you. Now, why would I say this? As an e-bike owner, you want to get on as many e-bikes as you can. And right now, there's a high probability you will end up on a Velotric because it's just there. So think about that. If you have a friend with a Lectric, or you know of a shop that is actually selling Lectric, you definitely want to try that out. And you want to know for yourself what each one feels like while you're riding. Just know that because of the state and the business practices for both Lectric and Velotric, you're more than likely going to test ride something from the Velotric brand. There's something else I wanted to mention. Velotric has a very, very high profile executive branch. These guys worked on Lime. They're from everywhere. And when I started looking high profile degrees, that kind of brain power often brings together some of the differences that I am going to show you between the Fold 1 and the XP 3.0. And then these differences are what you're going to calculate in your head or run equivalence to on whether or not it's worth it for the price increase over the standard base model XP 3.0 or the standard base model Velotric Fold. And that is definitely something that has been a hot button topic for a lot of e-bike owners. The baseline price, anything that puts them in the mode of this is an investment, has generally been about $1,000, which has been the price point of the XP 3.0. Even through the tariffs, Velotric increased their prices so that they could absorb the costs of tariffs, but they do have some higher standards in terms of their certification qualities and their IPX ratings. So that's something to keep in mind. This fact intrigued me the most. The rack on the XP 3.0 will hold up to 150 pounds, which is great, right? You think that is awesome. 150 pounds on the rack, that's unbelievable. But total payload capacity is 330 pounds. Now, with the Velotric Fold, you have a total payload capacity of 440 pounds, but the rack will only hold 120. Once you chop out the 150 from the total payload on the XP 3.0, you're looking at a 180-pound rider, and I am over 200 pounds, so it's not going to work out to the maximum load capacity of the rack. However, when I step over here and I look at the Fold 1, not only will it handle my rider weight, but it will handle the maximum load capacity of the rear rack, and that makes all the difference. That means that this bike is carrying over an extra 110 pounds if you fully max out the payload versus the XP 3.0. So for those of you that are out there hauling around trailers, your dogs, having your kids on the back, whatever it is that you're doing, I've seen a lot of things. Got a guy out here in Dunedin that does his karaoke, and he brings all of his setup equipment in a trailer behind his XP 3.0. So I know that there are some people out there that are using these for all the utility possible. So keep that in mind as you're moving forward with your decision between the Fold 1 and the XP 3.0. So the Velotric Fold 1 comes in 3 color possibilities, but it's only the step-through frame. I am in a place now where I don't think twice about it. It's always going to be a step-through. There is no more masculine-feminine differentiation, and if you're carrying that in your mental, you might ought to think twice about it and get on a step-through, and you'll never go back. There is a place for a high-step bike, so I'm not trying to take away from that. Lectric does offer the high step and step through model of their XP 3.0 in white and black. And it looks like they're probably going to come out with another color scheme because they've been doing it with they've done it with the XP Lite 2.0. And I believe the Expedition now has a pink version, which is pretty awesome as well. The Velotric Fold comes with stone gray, pearl white, and metallic blue, I believe. Electric blue, not metallic, electric blue. I am gonna take these and fold them up, but I just wanted to say that there's a standard volumetric dimension for the bikes that has been used, and Velotric provided this to me, and they said honestly that the Lectric folds up smaller than the Velotric, but the dimensions for the Lectric are 37 by 18 by 28 inches, and honestly the Velotric comes in at 37.8. 19.7, so that's an inch and 7/10 over, and then 33.5. Now, on that dimension, you're looking at about 5.5 inches, but that's not very much. And in the folded depth, you're not going to be worrying about it. And at the angle, I'm thinking that they've probably created that extra dimension because of the angle of the bike and the way you will sit in the posture, making it more comfortable. So something to think about there as well. If spacing is limited, if you need all the space you can get, you'll want to check out the dimensions when folded so that you know that it will work for you. Both of them are made of aluminum. Lectric states a 6000 series aluminum, and then Velotric states the aluminum alloy on the website. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is hollow, and this has the battery in it. That's a metal fender. That's a metal fender. So those are the things that I really like, metal fenders. I also like the plastic fenders, but they've got to be durable because if they get wrecked here in the sun, it's over. For all of you spec junkies, here's the deal. Lectric has the PWR controller, 20 plus or minus 1 amp max current on a 500 watt rear hub, 20 by 3 fat tire. So this is the Lectric branded rear hub motor, 500 watts with their custom PWR controller. Velotric has their customized settings, and they have programmed this thing to a hilt. I was watching the Electric Bike Report, and they showed that in PAS 1, this thing went over 70 miles after what's come out in the latest version from Velotric, which is insane. They don't even advertise that on their website, so keep that in mind. That being said, 750 watt rear hub motor, 20 by 3 fat tire. We would think that 750 watts would get us a whole lot more torque, but we're looking at torque at about 70 Newton meters for the Velotric Fold, and it is 55 for the Lectric XP 3.0. There are vast differences between the bikes that you'll want to consider if this has piqued your interest, and the pricing that I just laid out for you says, maybe the XP 3.0 is where I want to be with that 1 extra amp hour. Maybe, but let's check out further what's going on between these two bikes, and you'll be able to make a better, more informed decision. So the brakes. Right now, both of these bikes have hydraulic brakes, hydraulic disc brakes, and they both have 180 millimeter discs, which now seems pretty standard. Anything 48 volt and above, we're definitely looking for disc brakes. 160 bare minimum, probably not going to make it, but 180 is pretty standard for the industry. So in comparison, you're not getting much out of buying one versus the other when it comes to braking power. Electric Bike Report says that there was a significant short stop with the Velotric Fold, so keep that in mind. It seemed like the braking on the Velotric Fold was much, much better when they went through it. So I would consider that when purchasing, in the event that braking power is one of your top priorities. So both of these bikes are rocking a 52 tooth chainring. 52 tooth chainring with an 11/28 tooth freewheel / cassette. I think they're both freewheels, but I'll leave that one to you guys. Leave a comment below, let us know which one it is, freewheel, cassette. And so that brings you a 4.72 gear ratio. Now, I like to be upwards of 5, but typically I'm on a 26x4, so that's the taller fat tire bikes. But I do know that you want the highest gear ratio. Closer to 5 with these e-bikes at 48 volts is better, because you will get more resistance and less ghost pedaling in your high teens, low 20s of the e-bike. As you move into the mid 20s and up, really you're going to be pedaling like a madman if you really want to get that exercise at that rate of speed. But anything below that, there are a lot of people out there that want that resistance while getting a substantial speed above normal from an acoustic bike, and a higher gear ratio will get it done. So you're looking at 52 divided by 11, and you've got 4.72 for both bikes, so they are of equal measure there. Okay, to change the speed settings on the Lectric XP 3.0, you're going to power on the bike and then hold the plus and minus buttons until you see you move into the settings screen. Then you will use the power button to go to P08, and then you will transition this from 32 kilometers per hour to 100 kilometers per hour. And then you will simply hold the plus and minus button again. For the Velotric Fold, to change the speed setting from 20 miles an hour or greater, you will leave the display off and then press and hold the plus and the power button for 20 seconds. From there, you will use the plus button to bump your speed up to the max, and you'll see that it is 28 miles an hour. And then you will press and hold the power button. Now here is your battery for your Lectric XP 3.0, and as you can see, it is the 48 volt 10.4 amp hour battery. Now this is internal to the frame, and for the bike it does have a different head per frame style. Now with the Fold you only have the one frame style and the same down tube battery style throughout. This battery is the 48 volt 13 amp hour battery. If you get a long range version, it will be the same casing for the battery. It just has a higher density cell, and the packing of the battery and the way it is built out provides the extra 4 amp hours for that extra range that you're looking for. Now here is something to consider. For Velotric, one is the push button on and off, and then you have the proprietary Velotric charger connector. Now, Lectric uses the DC port for their chargers, and you can typically find a 48 volt charger for this battery on Amazon that will work without any problem, and oftentimes it's been the same brand that Lectric ships out with their bike. Let's get to the fun stuff. This battery is UL certified, not up to UL, but it is actually UL certified, and it is IPX7 rated. Now, I don't know if you guys saw, but we actually dumped this thing in a bucket of water and brought it out, and it survived it. We put it in there for almost 30 minutes, full submergence, less than a meter, which is the IPX limit, but it still survived it. What you can see here is the fill holes for the potting material that they're using to get that rating. And then what you also know is that your button up on the top of the battery casing and then your keyhole slot is not going to cause any problems if it is dunked. Also, they have done the engineering for any cross voltage once the battery is submerged. You cannot submerge electric battery. They will react violently to the water. Just keep that in mind. It is certified up to UL 2271 by SGS, I believe, or SGC, but it is not UL certified. It's to the standard of UL. However, it is not IPX rated 7. You cannot submerge these in water. I would highly caution against getting water on this at all versus what you saw with this battery, which, oh my, I was scared when I did it, but it was so much fun to do it. So keep that in mind. When the bikes are in their natural state, I can still remove this Velotric battery, but with this Lectric, I have to actually fold it in half to take the battery out. And so I'd have to say that I'm pretty pleased with the fact that the Velotric can handle it, where I just drop the battery in and it's independent of folding the bike. There we go. Once we get it open, we have to make sure to hold this battery because it will come flying out. And then you get it on release, and then you just let it slide out. And then the key is actually part of the battery and the on switch. It does have to remain inside the frame when the battery is turned on, so keep that in mind. Now with the Velotric, now I can take this key out and it's still part of it, and the press button on the side of the battery is what activates it. But when I go ahead and I put this in here, it allows me to release the battery without much issue. I don't have to unfold the bike or do anything, so I really appreciate that part. I wanted to mention that after my dunking video, I did not take the key out, and we can see a little oxidation on the key from the water, so keep that in mind. There are negative effects to any water deluge, but the fact that this thing survived it and it's UL certified says a lot. Good job, Velotric. Okay, another thing. I don't know how many of you really appreciate your kickstand, but this thing on the Velotric is beefy. This foot on this kickstand is rather large, and we like that for the stability of parking this bike. And we come over here, and the foot on this kickstand is quite a bit smaller on the XP 3.0. It does work, man. There's a reason why this bike company is #1 in the market. But these little things start to add up. Another thing that you'll notice is that the rim width is considerably more on the XP 3.0 than what you get on your Velotric Fold. I do wonder how this will affect the installation of aftermarket tires. So keep that in mind if that is a part of what you're going to be doing for your e-bike. A lot of people out there really like to customize. I do like the fact that this caliper is inside the frame and that your dropout scenario here on the bike is pretty free once that happens. So you're not going to have much trouble with that. One of the things on Lectric that I really like is that these hangers slash, I think they are fork arms as well, but they actually help hold when you're doing repair on these things. So when I look at this, I prefer this style of extra bit of hardware that helps out in repair. Both of these bikes do have the wired rear taillights. And unfortunately, with your Lectric XP 3.0, it's just an on-off light when you turn on the headlight. I will say that Lectric has been offering a package with their suspension seat post, and what you get with Velotric is just this straight hard seat post, but the seat is quite cushy, believe it or not. It is a quality seat, and either way, honestly, if I was to have either one of these bikes, I would definitely be putting a bike case suspension seat post on here. Now here is your headlight scenario. The headlight on the Velotric Fold size-wise is much different, and I don't have any way to check the lumens on this, standard excess testing, but typically what you'll see is that this is a dual bulb LED and this is single. You want to check out these front rack mounts as well. This is a pretty standard layout for a lot of e-bikes, and then you're seeing this across a lot of other brands as well, where you have the side mounts and it actually comes in and then you attach in this manner instead of the front face rack where you attach the plate. You have a deeper travel on your suspension, or your front suspension for the Velotric Fold versus the XP 3.0. Both of them have the ability to lock out the suspension with this lockout lever here. It is on the right-hand side of the bike to the rider. Let's just look at the handlebars really quick. Very first thing, Lectric does have their ergonomic grips, but these are slip-ons. They do not get clamped on here. So you'll want to keep that in mind. They've been using the standard display adjustment set here on the left-hand side, power button, and then plus or minus selection for paths and settings, and then of course your hydraulic brake handle. You have the 7-speed right-hand thumb shift for the gears on this bike with the half grip twist throttle, and then the accompanying slip-on ergonomic grip, half grip for this right-hand side throttle bike with the accompanying hydraulic brake handle. Now your stem is a little bit longer here, more of an upright feel when you're looking at it versus the Velotric, and this one is actually extended. This one can come out even more. And then it does have the max cutoff. And then the minimum looking like it is a little less tall, but this is deceptive. First, I have the angle on the rack, but you can actually see the sizing difference when you look at them. A little more of a U shape on these bars. On the Velotric though, the grips do have the clamps here that you can actually screw tighten the ergonomics. You have the trigger shift, thumb trigger shift on the right hand side, and it did come with a belt. I am not a big fan of the left-hand throttle, but I understand that with this combination of gear shift, you have to have the left-hand throttle. The display is significantly smaller on this. That doesn't mean it's less functional, but as you can see, a little smaller display readout when you're looking at the display. Battery meter up top, you have, it is in your imperial system, so miles per hour. You're looking, and when you want to switch between your readout, you actually click your power button once. You just don't hold it down. So you have average speed, max speed, time on bike, trip, distance, and odometer. And we haven't even been out on this bike, so that's what it is. The max speed came from actually testing whether it was live. Now for the Lectric, you get trip, which can be reset. The voltage, you can have your current readout for when you're riding. You have your clock, your odometer, and then your trip A. Now, I did want to talk about this lever. I feel like the levers on the Velotric are much more substantial than what you're getting on Lectric. And maybe that's just me, but it's as if they saw what was the general design of the lever and then just decided to amp it up a notch. So I really appreciate that. It's noticed more here on this stem. And when this is a very substantial latch, and I do like the way it is built. I wonder how durable this bad boy is going to be over the long term. So when deciding between these, and it's just about the handlebars, I pretty much think that the gear shift is the deciding factor. And how do you want to approach that? With the Lectric, you get the right hand throttle. It is the half grip twist. And then with the Velotric, it is the left hand thumb throttle, and it is the trigger shift, gear shift on the right hand side underneath. You can change the grips a lot easier than you can with the Lectric, especially since this is a half body right here. But overall, after that, that is the main difference. Display size as well. It looks like this thing is plenty bright enough, so I'm not worried about that, but it's just going to be the size of the readout. For those of us that are getting older, I recently had to get glasses, that does mean something to me. Interesting point here. The controller of the XP3.0 is in the back half of the e-bike, and it is behind this plate for the battery pin connectors. It's a whole controller body inside here that is wired through. Now, what you have with the Velotric Fold is much different. Fold is actually has the controller is built into the battery mount. So the controller is within this battery mount body right here on the Velotric Fold. So where does that leave us? we got to take it for a ride, and we definitely want to check out speed and how comfortable each of these bikes are with that ride. But when we're putting it out there and we're just looking at it on the rack and we're comparing prices, when you get the long range version of the XP 3.0 at 14 amp hours and then the standard 13 amp hours at 11.99, and this one's coming at 11.99, then you start to look at other things. Now, if you're like me, you like the right-hand stature of the Lectric XP 3.0 and the way that they've built out their traditional handlebars with the overhand gear shift. Now, Velotric is straight away from that and gone with the left-hand thumb throttle with the right-hand trigger shift and a little smaller stem, but they've made up for it with the angles of the headset and what you've got going on in the frame and how the bike sits. So if I'm picking between the two of them, I'm going to still come back to price, and price has still not been justified when I look at these finer points. I could say the kickstand, which is, leaps and bounds better than what you get on the XP 3.0, and then you would say frame durability, structural stability, payload capacity, which the Velotric is just killing it right now with the payload capacity. The ability to carry 440 pounds, 120 pounds on the rear rack, plus another 310, 440 minus 120 is 320. So the Velotric is killing it. 440 pound payload capacity with 120 pounds on the rear rack. So when you take that away, you still have 320 pounds for the rider, which is crazy compared to the Lectric. When you put a full 150 on the rear rack, you got 180 pounds to go for your main rider for the bike. So it's not working out well for bigger guys like me. So I would definitely lean towards the Velotric. Now, let's get into something that really matters. Now, if you're in a place where you need ultimate safety in terms of the battery in the event that it gets left out, it's possibly going to be put in a rain shower, anything of that level of rideability and durability needs for the great outdoors, it's gonna be the Velotric Fold 1. They are UL certified. Lectric is certified up to the UL standard, but not by UL. They did not put forth that upfront capital expenditure and go through the rigorous UL testing standards that Velotric did. So that's something to keep in mind. But when you get past that, it's the IPX rating. IPX7 for the battery, I put this thing in a bucket of water. I cannot, still in my head, it's not processing. Thanks to Scott, I know on your YouTube channel, you put the Discover 2 in the lake, which is just crazy. I love you for that, though. That was pretty awesome. But the Lectric XP 3.0, you do not do that with the battery at all. And as a matter of fact, you do not spray the bike. It is dust-proof to a degree, IP65, I believe, but that is not the subscript 5 or better. So IPX6 goes for water, and that is water penetration, so high pressure water, deluge, etc., not submersion. That's what you're going to get with the Fold 1 bike body, and then you're going to get the IPX7 rating for the battery, which is amazing. That works out for those of you that have been through a flooding scenario and weren't able to get your bikes out. There is a high probability that this bike will make it, and if not, at least the battery will be safe. So keep that in mind. Both of them have the UL 2271 rating for the batteries. That's shock, drop, and fire resistance. And then the bikes themselves are 2849 for electrical components for each of them. Again, to the standard, by the standard. They are certified by the standard. That is UL. So keep that in mind if you're out there. The fact that Velotric put up the money up front to be UL certified says a lot, and they are doing it to their entire lineup piece by piece. I am sure that it costs a pretty penny You have to pay by the unit and then pay for the testing itself, and they require a minimum of 10 units, if not more, to actually get it done. And then they actually have the cells are, the battery cells themselves are UL rated as well. That is a positive. So when I look at the price, I would say that the Velotric Fold is a very, very worthy contender, especially with their safety measures that they've put forth versus what the king of the mountain, Lectric XP3.0 has. Again, the step-through portion of the frame is something that I wouldn't even regard because it's step-through or bust from here on out. Both of these can handle a aftermarket suspension seat post, especially this hardtail Velotric Fold. I believe they sell it. We also have a link for the bike case suspension seat post. We'll leave that in the description below for all of you that are interested and are trying to make your choice. We are hopefully going to see what it's like to add some aftermarket Allscape tires. So here's a teaser for all of you. We look to have one of the very first looks at the 20x3 Allscape tires from HEB, Happy E-Bikes. When they get those out, we are going to try and put them on both of these bikes. I'm concerned because the rim is much narrower on this Fold, but we'll see how it goes. I'm almost positive it'll be good here, except for depth of tread and how the fenders play out. We may have to do a little spread on that. So, given this information, I just wanted to put it out there so that you can make a more informed decision on which bike might be better for you. We are going to take these for a ride, so we'll finish up this video and then take both of them out for a ride, get it on a hill, get it on a dead start, up a pedestrian ramp, and then I'll just give you my overall thoughts on feel for how they ride through the PAS settings and then with throttle. If you haven't already, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. It is our primary, and if you're in the area, check out E-Bikes of Tampa Bay, Florida. Get in that Facebook group, make an event, and go for a ride with your friends. And as always, we appreciate your support. Utilizing the links in the description below helps support the channel and helps to keep us going in the future, providing you more information just like this and my ability to learn videography. Audio too, but we're coming around. We will talk to you next time.